Yes, Mr. Backins is asked to be excused. Mr. Brado?
Here.
Mr. Olgiati?
Here.
Mrs. Rose?
Here.
Mr. Tominello is asked to be excused. Mr. Witt, here. Mr. Verkast?
Here. Thank you. Next on our agenda is the approval of the consent agenda, including approval of the regular board meeting minutes of February 29th, 2024, approval of the bills in the amount of $1,229,434.62, and concurrence with the repairs to dump truck number 314. Unless there are any changes, I'd be looking for a motion to approve the consent agenda as presented.
I'll make that motion.
Support. I've got a motion by Mrs. Rose with support by Mr. Olgiati. Discussion on the motion. Hearing none and seeing no public comment, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Motion carries. Thank you, Board. Next is the approval of the regular agenda. I'm not aware of any changes, so unless there is something needed to be changed, I'd be looking for a motion to approve the agenda as presented.
So moved.
Is there support? Support. Got a motion by Mr. Brado with support by Mr. Olgiati. Discussion? Hearing none and seeing no public comment, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Motion carries. Thank you, Board. Announcements. First, yard waste and chipping services do not begin until the month of April. With the warmer than normal weather, we have been receiving a lot of calls about when the chipping service begins. However, as always, yard waste and chipping services end in December and do not resume again until April. You can find all of the information regarding our waste collection, holidays, items that can and cannot be accepted, etc., on our website under Waste Hauler Information. Our Harrison Township Firefighters Local 1737 is hosting their annual Easter egg hunt on Saturday, March 23rd at 10 a.m., which will be at the Lance Cruz Middle School Central Outdoor Field, and the event will be held rain or shine. The event is for Harrison Township residents only, ages 12 and younger. We are partnering with the Detroit Institute of Arts to create a public art mural that will reflect our community. The artwork will be painted on the exterior of the bathhouse in Harrison Township Waterfront Park on the wall which faces Jefferson. Your input is important. It will help to inform the design, so we invite you to locate the survey on the township website or on our social media and complete the website through the DIA. For more information on these as well as all other township events, you can call the supervisor's office 586-466-1445. Visit our website, www.harrisontownshipmi.gov, or follow us on Twitter or X at HarrisonTWPMI. Board members, I do have an additional announcement. I guess I might call it an update. I felt it worthwhile to kind of inform the board, kind of give you notice of a meeting that I attended this morning. 41B District Court, as you know, we share the court with Mount Clemens and Clinton Township. And also you may recall, I think during the budget process, we had talked about the fact that with a change in the revenue stream at 41B, we have been participating in the bond payment. So the annual, or the April 1st bond payment includes principal and interest, $822,580.50. In our 2024 budget, we did include a line item of over $28,000 for that bond payment. Our share is $115,161.27. In past years, we've been able to cover that based on excess revenue, and in fact, sometimes we actually received revenue back from 41B. But the contract that we committed to, we as a board, not this board, but, you know, probably early 2000s, was that the three communities would fund that bond payment in the event revenue wasn't sufficient. So we are obligated based on a prior commitment. I just felt like I didn't want to send off a check for $115,000 without the board being aware. I I did check with Mr. Huth. We are obligated, so it doesn't require board action. Prior board action has obligated us. And I didn't put it on the agenda because I didn't know the final number until this morning. And Clinton Township is the funding agency. They were the largest, and still are the largest of the three municipalities, so they had the best financing and bonding options. And their fiscal year ends March 31st. So they're writing the check, but they want to receive the payment from Mount Clemens and Harrison Township before the end of the year, so that it doesn't carry on beyond their fiscal year. So just kind of an update. We will be cutting that check for $115,000, and you see it in a future check run. But didn't want to have it, say, hey, what the heck is this for? I don't remember us talking about it. So, any questions on that?
What are our obligations after that $115,000? What are our obligations on that bond after $115,000?
So there is a bond payment schedule. So ultimately, our obligation is to pay a portion, a percent of that total bond payment based on the 5-year caseload average. So the idea being, if we're 20% of the court and another municipality is 50%, they're gonna pay 50% of the bond, we're gonna pay 20%. I couldn't tell you the total number of years, but I'm shooting from the hip, it's probably another, it might be in this packet, but it might be another dozen years.
I thought it was 10, so that's
Yeah.
probably about right.
It's showing through, I show payments through 2031, so, yeah. So
Like a
about
25-year.
Yeah, yep, 16 to
Less than
31,
10.
yep, so it is 16 to 31, so, is that right, 16 to 31 would be 25 years,
No, 16, that'd be 15.
16 to
They
31.
refinanced, I think.
Oh,
16.
okay, yes, it is true, right, so it was, I think it was
I
originally
think it was
20
06.
I think it was originally 25 and it was refinanced, yep, so, and this year, 2024, total 822. It varies each year. The high point is April 1st of 2029, $1,001,493.75 in that particular cycle, but for the spring payment.
Okay.
So we've got, what is that, 6 more years after this. So, 4 to 6 or 7.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Okay, so that's kind of an update on 41B. Now I'd like to invite our county commissioner, Mrs. Barb Zinner, up to the podium to give us an update on county matters.
Mr. Supervisor, had a meeting today, this week and next week. Pretty much, today was about IT. Certainly isn't getting any cheaper. So much that goes on through the county, of course, does make things faster, and it sure is a lot of information to get. Roads, of course, and other issues. A lot of information comes through in the next few meetings, and really, that's really pretty much what I wanted to say. I know the other night when we heard banging, everybody heard the banging. I first thought it was at the football, at the high school. I couldn't really see the lights. And I thought, when it kept going, did you hear it in Shelby? Or where you live?
Where was I? I was not in Shelby. I was somewhere else. I did not hear it.
Yeah, you had to be pretty far away. And so I was talking to my daughter. She lives out of state. She didn't hear it. She had to practically be out of state. So I got in my car and I drove around and I went toward it. Thought it was maybe heading in the shores because it was going that way. Then I went up Harper. I was talking to one of the councilmen in the shores, and he said, yeah, my sister can hear it. That was closer to us. Something's wrong. And it does, to me, it sounded like a train had wrecked. Boom, boom, boom. So I didn't go any further. Got to Shook, and I thought, I think I'm going to stop here because I don't want to get caught in it. And so I called the exec, and I said, do you know what's going on? He told me what's going on, and I said, okay, I'm going to let you go. And, so I turned back around, and people were calling me. Said, told them a quick thing, find where you are, and anyway, it stopped for a while, but it was just a real strange situation. And of course, we didn't expect it. Who knew? But we didn't talk about it at the board today. I hope, though, my hope personally is that facilities, and I would think that maybe the fire departments, the people who check that stuff, will be checking businesses more. And I'm sure they're going to have a whole plan for this because, and you wonder about some of these things. I mean, I wonder when I'm looking at just seeing businesses, I wonder, is it safe for the, who is it safe for? Certain things all right. Now we know that, maybe we definitely know. Anyway, so we always have to be vigilant. Anyway, thank you all.
Okay, thank you. Any other announcements?
Yes, sir. Just want to remind residents, even though we just finished up an election, we will be mailing out applications for the upcoming May special election later this week, beginning of next week. And then voters that have requested a ballot or are on our permanent ballot list will see ballots coming out in about 2.5 weeks, the 28th. So we will already be back into another election before you know it, so.
Okay. All right.
Parks and Rec is hosting their first event of this year. It's at Total Sports. It's a family bowling event, Saturday, April 13th, from 1 to 3. We're only charging $3. The committee will pick up the remaining $10. It's a $13 value. You get 2 to 3 games of bowling, shoes, pizza pop. It's always a good time, and we're going to try to throw in some special prizes like contests, you know. We don't have those all figured out yet, but definitely you need to sign up by the 8th of April just so we can plan accordingly, and you can find all the information on the website.
All right, good. Thank you. All right, if there's no other announcements, we'll move forward on the agenda. Item D1, regarding firefighter gear. Board members, we are requesting approval to purchase one set of firefighter gear for our newly hired probationary firefighter, Ben Moss. The information is in the board packet. We do have a relationship with MES. That's where we get our current gear that we've been outfitting the firefighters with. So unless there are any questions, I'd be looking for a motion to purchase one set of firefighter gear from MES at a cost of $3,131.04.
I'll make that motion.
All right, is there support?
Support.
Okay, we've got a motion by Mr. Brado, a support by Mr. Olgiati. Any discussion? Hearing none and seeing no public comment, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, motion carries. Next on the agenda, also from the fire department, regarding a new copier. Board members, the fire department is requesting approval to purchase a new Marco copier printer to replace our current Toshiba copier printer. It's 11 years old. The Toshiba frequently needs to be repaired. They no longer manufacture some of the replacement parts. Our deputy supervisor, Stephanie Middlestat, researched and did price comparison and determined that the printer duplicates the functionality of our current model with newer improved technology. For reference, the cost to replace the copiers in the admin and engineering buildings was over $9,000 each back in 2020. I recommend the purchase of a Konica Minolta C360i multifunction copier from Marco at a cost of $6,919 plus a $61.45 monthly service contract.
I'll make the motion. Okay. Purchase the copier.
Okay, is there support?
Support.
Got a motion by Mr. Witt with support by Mr. Brado. Any discussion on the motion?
I just want to note that my support was more enthusiastic than his.
Yeah, it does.
Yeah, you know,
I sensed that.
I hadn't talked for a little while and it sort of got caught in my
Frog.
throat.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yep. All right, any other discussion? Hearing none and seeing no public comment, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, motion carries. Next on our agenda, item E1, regarding our housing readiness grant. Board members Adam Young and Wayne Hoffman from Wade Trim contacted me late last year about a state grant that could be utilized to fund revisions in our zoning ordinance. We worked together to prepare a grant application. It was approved in the amount of $25,000. We expect to begin work on this once the master plan is completed. I am requesting that we accept the Michigan State Housing Development Authority Housing Readiness Incentive Grant, number HRI 2024-10573-LEG. And I also request authorization for the supervisor to execute the agreement with Wade Trim to perform the work.
So I just wanted to get some clarification on this. So this 25,000 is just for the engineering firm to redo our ordinance, right?
Yeah, so those.
Yeah, we got the grant to do the master plan, to do that work.
And
Now we
it's
got a
the same
grant,
kind of
we got a
thing.
grant to do the second half of that process.
Gotcha. Okay.
Yep, and this is gonna include some, I know, Mr. Tominello sometimes will say perfecting amendments. I would say Adam Young has been our planner now for, I think, about 8 years. And so having worked with the current zoning ordinance, he's kind of familiar where some of the pinch points and difficulties are. And so he's got a few things in mind that he wants to address. Bottom line, this grant will fund that work.
Okay.
All right. Any other discussion, or is there a motion?
I'll make that motion.
All right. Is there support?
Support.
All right. We've got a motion by Mrs. Rose with support by Mr. Olgiati to accept the grant and authorize the supervisor to execute the agreement. Bottom line, the state kind of came to me and said, hey, you need to submit some information. And I thought, well, if I'm going to agree to something, authorize something, I really should have board approval.
Sure.
So, so we do have a motion with support. Any discussion? Hearing none and seeing no public comment, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, motion carries. Board members, I did also have just while we're on the subject, state grants. You may recall that this board authorized an application for a grant to fund the preliminary engineering for the Vanter DeBuff as it flows through the 155 acre parcel. And ironically, the goal there was to not only improve the flow of stormwater, but also to improve the quality of the stormwater so that the water that ultimately flows out to Lake St. Clair would be cleaner and of a better quality, I guess. However, the way we applied for the grant, one of the things that Eagle does internally is they kind of review the grant and decide, before they give it merit, they kind of go to the local their local departments and say, what do you think of this? Well, their feedback was, well, what they're proposing to do is modify existing wetlands, and we're against that, so we would never fund a grant to design something that's against what we want. And so, in talking with the Eagle representative this morning with Adam, I said, well, that's kind of the ironic part, because that's our goal of doing the preliminary engineering. In other words, we want to know what is a good practice, what will improve. And so the window for that grant has closed. The next window is in October. But our representative on the master plan grant had agreed to get me a contact for someone at the state level to say, what you want us to do is what we want to do. We just have to figure out how to put that on the grant application so you understand what our goal was. But the way they interpreted it was we were going to change wetlands, and they opposed the grant. So
it's looking pretty good for October then.
yeah, so we'll take another stab at it. I really think once we say, hey, this is what we're trying to accomplish, we just need to say it in the language that they're looking for to give it its approval. And the good news is, if you have that much conversation about a grant in 2 cycles, hopefully that second application may be, more likely to be approved, so.
Will the action with Jimmy's livery, will that have anything to do with that grant at all? Is that kind of like a plus for us on that?
Yeah, I don't think so. I really think that's more of our ordinance and relative to blight and unsafe structures and that sort of thing, but it's nearby, that's for sure, right? So, okay. At this time, we'll open up the floor for public comments. They can be about any subject that you like. We ask that you try to limit them to 5 minutes in length.
evening. Another month has gone by, so I'm just requesting an update as to any plans that have been made for the monument for Lieutenant Colonel Odell. I know that there's been plans made for our next sculpture, and I hope that's not being put ahead of one of our veterans. It's our veterans who make this world what it is now, this country what it is. Without our veterans, this would not be our country would not be the same. So please put the monument for Lieutenant Colonel Odell ahead of our sculpture. I'm all for the sculpture. I was fundraising for it, but I do believe that our veterans should come first. And Colonel Odell was very well liked in the area, so I would hope that you would put him ahead of any other plan.
Thank you.
C. William Bardell, 27-year resident, clean cut, do-gooder boy next door. Clean up, fix up, people helping people. Just want to remind everyone to please come on out to Facebook, Save Lake St. Clair, and press follow and keep up to date on everything that's going on. There's some new articles, some reading material for you, and get involved, and hopefully we can try to save our wonderful lake. And with that said, everyone have a wonderful evening. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there any further public comment? Hearing none, we'll close the floor for public comment, move back to board comment. At this time, I do not have any update about any plans for a monument for Digger Odell, nothing new to report. I wouldn't say that we're putting the sculpture ahead. I think they're just parallel tracks, but at this time, we're still looking for ideas and creative ways to be able to honor the service of Digger. So nothing new to report at this time. Any other board comment? Hearing none, I'd be looking for a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Is there support?
Support.
Got a motion by Mr. Brado, with support by Mr. Olgiati. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, motion carries, meeting adjourned. Thank you, board.
See how quick it goes when